So, Joseph, tell us about the dream about you and Mariah.
When I was a young kid, I kept on having a dream about having a black horse, a dark horse that would take me everywhere and do everything with. And that was when I lived in New York City, when I was about 5 years old. And after I got out of the service, I got a chance to come out west, and I found him, or he found me. And he taught me everything. He taught me how to communicate. He taught me how to be quiet. He taught me the joy and friendship of a horse, and just a wonderful life. And the other horses that I trained, he taught me how to do that.
How did you know it was Mariah? I mean, how was he any different than any other Mustang?
In a dream, the dark horse had a white circle on his neck. And when I first saw Mariah, he had a freeze brand that looked like a circle on his neck because it was in the wintertime, and he had heavy hair. But what it turned out to be was a brand for C2, California 2nd District, where he was captured. And that's how I knew it was him. Nobody could catch him. He escaped. The guys who ran cattle out here tried about 8 or 9 times to catch him, and nobody could ever catch him.
Tell us why you left New Jersey and what prompted you to come to Nevada of all places.
All my life, as a kid, especially with the horses, I always saw open spaces. And New Jersey and is a lot of farmland and forest. When I came out here to visit one time, just to take a vacation, I couldn't believe how much open land there was. And that's why I moved. And that's where the wild horses were roaming.
So back in the 70s, BLM decided that they wanted to round up Mustangs off the range. And so now that is like 40 years later, that is still a problem. And why are Mustangs running in open range such a problem?
Man wants to control everything. And out here you have a lot of so-called rangeland for all the animals to use, but the guys who run cattle want to control it all. And they think horses eat too much, taken away from their cattle. And that's where the conflict is. The conflict is that the Mustangs are free, and it is a threat to people who aren't free. And it just drives them crazy to have these animals be so magnificent and so beautiful, to be free. And it just drives people crazy.
Tell us a little about Mariah and his personality. What kind of Mustang was he?
Mariah was a horse that always maintained his cool. He never got excited. He never got shook up. When I would do something with him and do it wrong, he would just stand there and look at me. If I asked him to do something wrong, he would stand there and not move. I had to do everything right with him. He taught me in the dream state, when I was sleeping at night, we communicate. I did not realize that horses and people can talk through telepathy. And I go out the next day because I've read what to do and how to train a wild horse and stuff like this, and he'd look at me as if I was really stupid. And then I remember the dream and what we do together, and we just do it. I'd ask him to do it his way, and he taught me how to communicate with horses.
Why do you think this film, or I should say, why do you think that this script, 40 years later, is still important?
It's important because young people, young children have to know that it's okay to have dreams, and the possibilities are limitless for them. In the society we have, I was told as a kid I had an overactive imagination. coming from the city. And everybody would laugh. And from about 5 years old on, I had the dream, and then I met the horse. And the horse showed me and fulfilled my dreams together.
Is there one moment with you and Mariah that stands out in your mind? How long were you and Mariah together?
Mariah and I were together for 22 years. And where I live and where we played together, my valley is about 5.5 miles long, 2 miles wide. There was only 4 houses out here. I used to ride him over the hill into the next valley, which is 3 times the size. And about the 5th or 6th time I was riding him, he got a little bit excited and started putting his head down and smelling the ground and picking up speed. And I was just riding with him and letting him do, because we were learning together. And we came over a hill, and he put me right in the middle of a Mustang herd. It's the most exciting thing in the world to be accepted into the herd. They were the babies. They were probably 4 months old, 5 months old. And the stallions and the mares, and it was just the most magnificent thing, because we never ran hard. It was just an easy trot to a hard trot for about 4 or 5 miles. Then the whole herd stopped by the water hole, and we stopped with them. And from that point on, once a week we used to go out and play with the herd. That was the most magnificent thing, to be able to ride with a wild herd.
So tell us, Joe, what are you doing now?
Well, now I'm teaching the rest of my horses, putting them in carriage. And some of my older horses that already passed, we were able to take to shows, in driving shows, and do real well. Now the younger ones that I have, their sons and daughters, is I'm putting into pairs and into 4-up teams for me right now, for my enjoyment, because they're so magnificent. And that's all.
If there's one thing that you could say to the kids, to everybody, it doesn't matter if you're a child or an adult, if there's just one thing or message that you could say to everybody on the whole planet about you and Mariah and on all the experiences that you had together, what would that be?
The most magnificent thing is to be able to communicate with the animals and see how intelligent they are, and see how willing they are to work with you and to play with you and to interact with you. That is the most magnificent thing, and how honest they are.